I spend a lot of time playing empire builder games, your Civilizations, your Banisheds. These have always been the perfect combination of grand strategy and comfort gaming for me. I can get really in-depth and micromanage the hell out of my city, or I can lay back and hit the end turn button over and over until I fall asleep. So it's funny to me that I never spent quite as much time on tycoon-style games. After all, they're generally just a more specialized version of a 4X. Find your niche and take over the world with it, that sort of thing. Fortunately, this week I got my chance to sink my teeth into one of the latest Tycoon games, Railway Empire. Developed by Gaming Mind Studios and published by Kalypso, the people who brought you the Tropico series, Railway Empire is pretty much what you'd expect from a take on the Railroad Tycoon style of game. You set up trade routes, you compete with other tycoons, you research newer and better technologies, and slowly build your company into an empire through rail cars full of corn, lumber, beef, and occasionally people. At first I was a little skeptical of Railway Empire. Like I mentioned before, this is the sort of tycoon game that's pretty specialized, and requires an attention to details that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about. Specializing the right train to the right track, for example. Some trains are better at traversing higher inclines than others, and if you're building a track from Baltimore to Pittsburgh, you're definitely going to run into that. So researching and assigning the right train for that situation is vital. And at first that level of detail might be off-putting if all you're expecting is to connect point A to point B through coal-powered tenacity. But when you take the time to pay attention to specifics and learn what Railway Empire is all about, the results can be quite gratifying. You get an efficient series of routes going, and it can be sorta hypnotizing to watch the trains come and go. The competition, on the other hand, I've thought was pretty tiresome. That's not to suggest I'd prefer a game in a bubble all by myself, but the people you're up against...
You're expanding too fast for my liking.
Yeah. They can be a little obnoxious. They're constantly coming into your screen and mocking you or just telling you about their lives, which is not as interesting as they seem to think it is.
My parents immigrated here from Europe. I'm not sure exactly from which country. I can barely remember them. They died when I was 2 years old.
We got it. No need to go into further detail, lady. These guys are already meant to be a hindrance, and that plays out in them hiring saboteurs and paying off reporters to write nasty articles in the paper about you, and honestly, that's a pretty cool game mechanic. It's a lot of fun to not only build up your empire, but to also play dirty against the competition. It's a nice touch, even if it can be really frustrating to be on your way to finishing another objective and it gets sidetracked by some jackass who then has the constant need to tell you about...
I just cannot say no to a...
Oh my god, shut up! Jesus! As I said before, this game is published by Kalypso, which brought us the Tropico series. I point that out only because I think Railway Empire's biggest problem is the same one I've always noticed in the Tropico series. It starts out really unique and fun and strong, but by the time you've rounded the bend and you're coming closer and closer to the pinnacle of your empire, the game sags and feels a little slow. You're doing largely the same things over and over, and when you're playing in the campaign and have certain objectives to meet, a lot of it comes down to just waiting. And sadly, Railway Empire isn't the sort of tycoon game where you can intentionally send your trains straight at each other to collide into a fiery ball if you end up getting bored. Now that would be some fun sabotage to send your competition's way. The campaign is great for getting to know the game and stretching your legs, but I think Railway Empire's true shine comes from free mode, where you can choose your starting conditions, a character with different benefits, and just build. It's a lot like Civilization that way. Ultimately, these sessions will likely end when you're just ready to quit, but that's better than hoping to beat a level and leaving certain objectives undone. Despite that criticism, I did manage to have some fun with Railway Empire. There was a lot of care and craft that went into it, and it shows, particularly in the campaign setting, which takes you through various eras in American railroad history. They take that aspect of the game very seriously, matching different styles and technologies with different eras in a way that's authentic, but really fun too. Tycoon and City Builder fans should definitely give this one a look, as it scratches an interesting little itch that...
Are you happy? I got you an article in the newspaper.
Railway Empire, ladies and gentlemen.
If Daddy don't sink a little drinky, Daddy gets sad and blue. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you.